next topic is about a new data type that is specific for MATLAB. It is a cell array. Cell array has many properties that you can use in any project. The most important features of cell array is that you can store any type of data type in a cell array. Cell array is an array. In other words, for example, it is a 2 in 2 array. When it's a double array, every element is a number. For example, -3 or 3.9. But the cell array, every element can contain, for example, an element can contain a string or a character array. Another element can contain a matrix, or another element can contain a vector. As you see here, the length of this matrix is different with the length of this array or this string. There is no relation between the element of the cell array. They can contain anything. It can contain a big matrix. It can contain a string. It is one of the most important features of cell array that you can store any data type in an element of a cell array. Okay, how can we create cell array? It's very simple. You can create cell array with a cell command, or you can create a cell array with this symbol. This symbol in MATLAB create cell array or braces. For example, I want to create a cell array C1 equal. If I want to create a double array, I use this. But for creating cell array, I use this symbol. Okay, let me to create this cell array. This cell array just have a matrix. It's very simple. I create a matrix inside the first element of a cell array, 3.2 976 851. Close braces. You have a cell array. Your cell array just have one element. It is a one row, one columns. But in the first columns, it contains a matrix. Yeah, that's very simple. And you want to add, suppose that it is our first array. I want to add this one to my cell array. It is a character array. For saving time, I just if you want to add cell array, you can open and add it in here. Just one click in your and add, for example, matlab1.com. So if you run cell array, you will see that it has a 1 row and 2 columns. The first element is a 3 and 3 double, but the next element is a string. I click on the workspace on the cell array and add a string character array to my cell array, but very simply I can use these features in MATLAB and add this array to my cell array. Okay, these two ways are same, or you can add more elements. For example, we can add complex number. Complex number in MATLAB can be created with I or j or 1i or 1j. Complex number in MATLAB can be created with I or j or 1i and 1j. So the most professional programmer in MATLAB don't use I in their loop. It is not recommended to use I and j as an index in our loop. If you are a programmer, you know that in the loop we commonly use I and j as the index of the loop, but because the MATLAB use I and j for complex number, so the MathWorks recommends that you can use I and j, but it is better to use, we have many variables that you can use for index, for example k, m, n. There are many variables. So because the MATLAB used the complex number with I and j, it is not recommended to use this number for index of a loop. 3.4i, I create a simple complex number. As you see, it is a complex number. Or I can add the next row, 3 dot for going to the next, and in the next I want to add a simple double, and for example zeros 3 and 3, and or I can create a string MathWorks, then I close my cell array. Now my cell array has a 2 row and 3 columns, and as you see, cell array can contain any type of array. You can add categorical, you can add table. It has a many applications in your program at the beginning that you cannot solve your problem in some array. For example, you want to work with a number, but there are some string that you must store them. You can use cell array. It is a better way to store the data that has many type of data type in your data set. Similar to other array, you can access, for example, it is my C1, it is C array. If I want to access to the first row, similar to a numeric array, you can use this. It extracts the first row for you, or you can extract the, for example, second columns. The second columns extracted for you. It is the things that you know about the array indexing you can use for cell array. Or if you want to, if you want to access this element in this cell array, it is very simple. You just need to use cell 1.2. Is extracted, or if you want to this number is extracted 1 and 3, row 1, columns 3, cell array extract. Okay, if I speak about the complex number for you, if I want to create some complex number, I'll just say, for example, z1 is 3.7j. As you see, j can be used for complex number in MATLAB, but the result is represented by I. If you click on Z1, you will see that it is a complex number. Or you can create just it has imaginary part, Z2. You can add complex number with each other, or you can multiply them each other, or you can subtract. You can do subtraction. So it was a simple introduction to complex number. Another way to create cell array is with the cell command. In the input of cell command, you specify the number of row and columns. It is very helpful in your MATLAB program before a loop that you want to you must initialize your variable, but you know that your variable is a cell array. You use the cell for initializing your variable. But if your variable is numeric array, as I said you before, it is better to use the zeros for initializing your variable. But if your variable is that contain many type of data, and you cannot use the table, you can use the cell array for storing your variables, your values. How can I modify content of the cell array? It is very simple. Just index that element that you want to change. For example, I want to change this element. It's in the row 2 and column 3. So 2 and 3 equal the new element. What do you want to insert? For example, I want to insert a random number in here. So if you see the C8 contains, replace it with a random number. It is very simple. It is similar to the other type of array in MATLAB. Suppose that you have a C1 and you want to remove one row or one columns in the C1. How can I remove a row or a columns in a cell array? It is very simple, as I said you before. For example, I want to remove the second column. I index the second column, but in here with the parentheses, not with the braces, and this symbol. Now The second column removed for me. There are some functions in MATLAB that you can use for converting cell array to the another type of data type. For example, you want to convert a cell array to a, for example, a matrix of number. Matrix can contain a number, and you have a cell array that contain number. You can convert the cell array to a matrix and use the feature of MATLAB for matrix. How can I use this feature? Suppose that it is my cell array. If I want to convert it to a matrix, I cannot use a string in the matrix, so I cannot use these columns. But in the C1, if you take a look at the C1 contain C1 is a matrix 3 row and 3 columns, and the second row is a vector 1 row and 3 columns. So the element of the row are the element of the number of columns in days are same. The 3 and 3, it is a 1 and 3. So the number of columns is same. So I can convert these columns to the array. How can I use? I can first extract the first column. How can I extract the first column? I use this command in MATLAB, and the first column is extracted for me, just the first column. Okay, let me show you this column. It's a new cell array. If I want to convert it to the matrix, I use the cell to mat for CO11. As you see, the result is a matrix of number. You can see in here the first part is this matrix, and the second part is this matrix. Okay, there are many other functions. For example, cell to structure. You can convert a cell to a structure. Cell to table. You can convert a cell array to the table if you want to use the feature of cell, but you must pay attention to the content of your cell array. You cannot convert this column to the table, because as you know, the table must, all of the elements in the table have a same table. Must be the same table. It's a complex, but it's a string. You must pay attention to the content of your cell array before using this. If you want to show the content of a cell array, you can use the cell disp. For example, it shows you the content of a cell array. For example, in a home 1 and 1, this matrix. In a row 2 and column 1, there is this matrix. In row 1 and column 2, this complex number, and in the row 1 and column 2, there is this string. Okay, for getting more familiar with a cell array, please go to matlab1.com. There is a special course for cell array. You can be present many examples from cell array that can help you to write a good MATLAB program.